Three-time Indy 500 champion, Rick Mears. 2017 Verizon IndyCar Series champion and driver of the #1 Verizon Dallara Chevrolet, Joseph Newgarden. Joseph on the end there. Welcome back, the three-time Indy 500 winner and driver of the #3 Penske Dallara Chevrolet, Elio Castro-Neves. Former series champion and winner of last week's Indy Grand Prix with an impressive performance. He drives the #12 Verizon Dallara Chevrolet, Will Power. And of course, the 2016 Verizon IndyCar Series champion and driver of the #22 Menard Dallara Chevrolet, Simon Pagenaud. Now, I mentioned this past weekend that Roger Penske had captured, and Team Penske had captured their 200th Verizon IndyCar Series win. A total of 19 different drivers have combined for that win total, with Elio Castro-Neves and Will Power each collecting 30, and Rick Mears next with 29. And in case you didn't know, 11 of those drivers are the ones that have combined for Team Penske's record-setting 16 Indianapolis 500 victories. So we'll start with Roger. Roger, you've been coming here since the 50s when your dad Julius brought you, and you fell in love with this place and this race. But every year you walk back in here with the same energy and excitement. What is it that keeps the fire and the desire burning year after year?
Well, Jerry, I think it's the guys on my right and left here that make the difference, because they commit to the team and work all year. And one of the goals that each of them have each year is to win the Indianapolis 500. And what we've tried to do, over so many times we've been here, is to provide them with the best equipment, and certainly the people behind that. And I think that makes a huge difference. And to me, this has also been a big brand building opportunity for our company, because to race at the Indianapolis 500 and have success, and you think about if you're going to buy an ad on a TV and you can lead this race for a half hour or 45 minutes, it makes a huge difference. And I think it shows the quality of the company, certainly the quality of our people, and the continuity. If you look across here, these guys have been with us, they stay with us, and it makes a huge difference. And I think we say every year we probably have 500 to 600 years of experience in that garage that make us a great team to compete against the other teams that are here each year.
Well said, Roger. No doubt that this is a major branding opportunity, the largest single-day sporting event in the world. Millions of eyes around the world watching live on our ABC coverage coming up a week from tomorrow. Joseph, you go out in your first year with Team Penske and win the Verizon IndyCar Series championship. Now that you've checked that box, this year, can the focus be totally on winning, especially in this big race here in the 500?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's always just an honor to be a part of this group. Joining it last year, I was very nervous to be a part of it, and always still a little nervous when I walk into garages, but I feel a lot more comfortable this year. 1 year makes a big difference in my opinion, but I think Indianapolis, like you said, is certainly next on the list for me. It's not next on the list for the team. They've won it many, many times, but we got to try and get it done again. And the good thing is we have 4 great opportunities, especially having Elio back. I think we got one of the best opportunities in the entire field to win this race. So feel great about it. I think, like Roger said, we have the best people out there. You feel that way as a driver. You feel like you have the best of the best, and you have the most support you can have. So it gives you a lot of confidence to get in the car, try and go fast on a day like today when they turn up the boost, and get the job done, hopefully. So we're staying focused. It's early. We've got a couple days underneath us now, and I think we have great cars. So excited to be here with Verizon and all our partners, and hopefully we have a good run this weekend and an even better run next Sunday.
Thank you, Joseph. Elio, welcome back, my friend. You've shown no signs of rust the last few weeks, winning the first IMSA race, running among the leaders all day in the Grand Prix. In fact, one of your teammates sitting here with you told me a couple of days ago that Elio Castro-Neves last year and what they've seen in the month of May is the best we have ever seen him. Let me ask you this. From the time you stepped out of that car running second a year ago here in May, how much have you let yourself think about coming back this year to get that 4th victory?
Well, Doc, I think about every day. Obviously, it was one of those incredible ones. I had a phenomenal car. The Pennzoil car was really strong last year, and obviously coming back here. First of all, I want to thank Roger and Senior to give me the opportunity again to be back at Indy 500. It's such a special place for so many people, and just to be back and able to continue our goal and pursue for the number 4 would be it's incredible. So having phenomenal guys surround me, that's what you need to succeed, and we have that. We have the equipment, we have the people behind, and now we just gotta put the pieces together, and hopefully for Sunday we're gonna as Joseph just mentioned, I mean, we have 4 incredible group that he can be able to win, especially with this new car. Racing GP was great to get our rhythm back, and you said no sign of rust. I have a lot of lubricant, Pennzoil lubricant around me, so basically I'm ready. And I'm excited. I'm excited because it's great to be in such an awesome place. And well, we're gonna continue. I got my man here, Rick Mears, beside me. He's right there in turn 3, telling me what to do or what not to do. And we're definitely going to continue working hard so that we're going to achieve the goal.
It's always confident to have Rick. In fact, I got to stand beside Rick for a little while up on the spider stand in the Grand Prix. He was covering his eyes, some of that eyes, just so you know. Just kidding. Let's go. Well, congratulations on a great run and impressive performance last Saturday. You are the only driver in the field that can win both races in the month of May. That's never happened before. When you say something's never happened in Indianapolis, that's pretty special. How confident are you this could be your May, your year?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's fantastic to have that opportunity, but obviously very focused on this weekend and next weekend. But I feel like we have a really good opportunity to win this year. I mean, I think Chevrolet has bought a really good engine. I feel like we're really fast, and running in traffic and such, I felt like we've been pretty strong, especially when you get to the front. So just really working hard. Obviously, this was a month where everything was different, and there was some big changes to the car. So having 4 really good drivers has helped that process. We've definitely eliminated some big items and kind of zeroed in on a pretty good setup. So looking forward, I think we're going to be pretty strong.
And Simon, before I ask you a question, I want to give you a shout out. I don't know if you saw on the Twitter world lit up. Simon was walking in the garage yesterday and walked a little fan who had almost all the autographs of the Team Penske drivers except Elio. Walked the fan into the garage all the way back to Elio to get the autograph, and that's what it's about, being able to reach back to the fans, and kudos for that, my friend. And you've worked as hard as anyone to become a really accomplished oval track racer. How would you describe the preparations that you've made for the month of May, especially for the Indy 500?
Yeah, thank you, Doc. It's such a preparation every year. Obviously, we're all looking forward to the Indy 500. It's really is our number 1 goal. We know that in Roger and Tim's heart, it's the most important one. So we prepare really hard. The team does a fantastic job at just understanding every bit and components of this new aero kit and trying to extract the best out of the equipment. Just like Roger said, that's really key to performance. On the driver's side, there's a lot you can do, obviously, to review the past races and try to focus yourself, try to put yourself into the race before it happens, and try to just improve. And that's what we try to do every day. That's the goal, and that's why this group is so good. Is we push each other so hard that you always try to push the limits away. And quite frankly, it's a pleasure, it's an honor to be part of this group. To me, it's a dream team, so I really enjoy it.
Well said, Simon. We'll mention that Tim and Rick both are available for questions to be asked. Now we'll open it up to questions. If you would, raise your hand, wait for the microphone, identify yourself, your affiliation, and to whom the question is being addressed. Thank you.
Elton Alexander, playing dealer. Elio, how have you adjusted so fast to this new car? Because it seems like it's kind of got some temperamental issues of its own here with other drivers. It seems like, at least on the track with speed, you're putting it together pretty well.
Well, definitely, it's not my first rodeo. I have a lot of experience, and you're just trying to find the database that I might have here to see which car in the past that I ran before with this kind of conditions. But it's not only that; it's about team effort. Everybody's really working together to find the best setup, so I cannot do this on my own. And having not only myself but other Joseph, Simon, and Will working together with engineers, we all, trying to eliminate the scenarios that we're not going to use it and trying to find a solution as quick as you can. So at this point, it's the car is it's different, no question, compared to last year. Everybody was used to a lot more downforce, so that you can really step on it and flat out any place you go. And now you gotta drive. You gotta be a little more finesse with the car, and it certainly it takes a little bit of a adjustment. But as I said, when you have a good team behind you, it makes this transition much more smooth.
Bruce Martin with Auto Week. Back in Rick's day, we used to hear the term knife edge setup, that the setups were just so narrow that it was like being on a knife's edge. We return to those days with this car at this track. This is for each of the drivers.
Yes.
Okay, 21.
Yes, that we have a little bit of a beginning of a feeling to start running qualifying setup, and especially with the boost that we're going to increase today, so we'll find out as well. So everything is new. Every day is something new that we start building up. But so far, when we went out yesterday, it was actually it wasn't easy.
I mean, that seems to be the deal. Is you push off, try to fix that, and you'll be loose in. So it is very tough to get the balance exactly right. It's definitely it's the racing in the front, to me, honestly, is going to be more intense than last year. Like, you can pass someone on the front straight, and they'll repass you back on the back straight. So I think the changes for lead will be more than ever. And as you get back in the pack, it's always been tough to pass. I don't think it's ever been easy to get by. So I think it'll be great racing, and I think the fans will enjoy it.
Yeah, the car is sensitive. But it's a very sane aero kit. It's very enjoyable to drive around. I think it doesn't surprise you like the old aero kit used to do. So it's really fun to drive. The adjustments are good. Just takes time. It takes time to understand it all. We've only had 3 days at the super speedway here, so we're getting there. We're improving every day. Every day we're finding new things and making the car better. And I think hopefully by race day our cars are the best.
Yeah, I think you have more predictability with the car. We've seen that with this new aero kit, that you can kind of progress when it starts to move. It's in a very progressive fashion, but you still, in order to make the car work in traffic, you still a lot of times have to run it right on the edge, of being uncomfortable, and that's just sometimes what you have to do to make it fast and make it work. And I think these guys are the best at doing it, and really everyone in the field, they're working a lot harder than you realize sometimes. So it is on the knife edge every now and then, but you just try and make that that edge a little bit duller so it doesn't cut you as deep.
Question for Helio Wolfgang Monserrat, Sport Press Agency. Now in your new environment with Sports Prototype, don't you miss over racing? Over racing. In your new environment with sports car racing, you just have no over racing. You don't miss it, over racing?
Well, that's why I'm here. I do miss it, especially the big one. So that's why I'm thankful for the team Penske to give this opportunity. It's still very fresh with the sports car, and which is a lot of fun. Having again a great program with the folks out there, but right now it's just to be here and ready to focus on this month.
Ben Smith from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette. This question's from Roger. Roger, that guy down there to your left was the youngest champion last year since I think 2003. And this year you've got an influx of really good young drivers coming into IndyCar. Well, to what do you attribute that?
Well, I think the continuity of the rules and the costs that have been, I think, capped to a certain extent. Instead of building an all-new car and costing us $400,000 or $500,000 a car, we've been able to take chassis that have been around for 1, 2, or 3 years in an aero kit is very reasonable. So you see people coming out of, some of the other open wheel series with good teams, Carlin and some of the other ones, certainly makes a difference. And I said that to someone the other day, the fact that we have 35 or 36 cars here to qualify will make it a very different Saturday and Sunday for us. And that shows that the sport is going up, not going down, because I think IndyCar has done a good job, on the kit, lots of good testing. And to me, people see this as a big race, and it's attracting a lot of teams, because these are teams that have kind of hung around the series, but always the cost to get in. And you can see here, someone can come here, buy a car, and be competitive, and I think that's pretty exciting. And you've got diversity in the field, with Pippa and certainly Danica coming back. This is a great time to be part of the sport.
Alan Brewer, Racing Nation. This is a question for Elio. Do you foresee electric and hybrid technology improving at such a sufficient pace that we might see you back here in 2023 in an electric or hybrid submarine?
Oh, I don't know. That's certainly in the automotive industry, no question, they're pursuing that direction. At the moment, I don't see we are going in that direction. Could be, but IndyCar has a plan probably for the future, but I hope I will still be here when that comes.
Tony DeZino, Trackside Online. This one's for Joseph. When you look at qualifying, how tough do you think it will be to get either into the Fast 9? And if you're like borderline Fast 9, is there a risk, or do you want to kind of stay to not fall back if you're possibly in the midsection?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think with, like Roger said, when we have more than 33 cars, you got bumping going on, it changes the way you calculate risk. I think we'll still, very much try and get into the Fast 9 if we have the capability from the car. We'll do as much as we can to get it out of it. But, you will look at it differently than if the field was going to be just locked in on this day and you didn't have to worry about the risk of being bumped. So that makes it exciting. I think it will change the dynamic for a lot of people. I think we have great capability, though. I think, like Will said, we have a very strong Chevy engine. I think they've done a lot of good work since the beginning of this season to put us in a position to succeed this month. And our guys are working very hard to get the most out of it. So, we're going to do everything we can. I'm not going to say we're just going to do one attempt. We might have to have a couple, but I think we've got great race cars underneath us. Feel really confident in our group. So I think for sure we can get in there in the Fast 9 for Sunday.
Eric Smith, Race View Online. First of all, happy birthday, Simon. And this one's for any of the drivers who want to answer. Kind of piggybacking off.
These French guys don't tell you. Where's the cake?
It's too early for the cake.
Sorry, Simon. This is for any of the drivers, kind of piggybacking off of Tony's question. This year, the points for qualifying has decreased dramatically. Is that welcomed in your group, with qualifying really not going to shape the championship this year?
Well, the rules are the rules, so you can't really do anything about it. It's just whatever the decision was on the points is the right one. Certainly, last year in my position, I didn't want the big points for qualifying, but this year, being far back in the championship, it could have been really good. But you can't look at it selfishly like that. It's just a decision from IndyCar, and to be honest, I just go with it.
Other questions? Let me address one to Will Power. Will, knowing what you know right now about the handling of this new package in traffic, for race day, if you could pick one of the following, which would you pick? The fastest car, the best handling car, the best strategy, or the best luck?
All of them. Yeah, I mean, you need a combination of all that, but definitely the best handling car is what's going to win the race, because you can't lead and pull away. It's not like the old days where if you have a fast car, you can't trim out enough, you can't take enough drag off to actually pull away. So I feel like a really good handling car where you can be right on someone's gearbox on the last lap at the right spot, whether it's the back straight or the front straight, I'm not sure, but that's what will make the difference to win the race.
Great answer. In the previous press conference, Rahal said that when you see the speed guy, Elio Castroneves, go out there and run one lap on new tires and put up a number and then come in the next lap, you realize how hard these cars are to drive in qualifying trim. So Elio, if you would, describe the intensity and pressure of qualifying for 4 laps versus what you do on race day.
Well, as my man right beside me always said, there are two kind of races: the pole day and the 8500. And I tell you what, it is 4 laps. It feels like sometimes 500 miles, and it's so difficult to go out there. And Bruce, to answer that question that you asking, that's what I was referring. It's so difficult to be right at the limit. And you cannot, in the past, you used to go out there and do only once, or now you have to do 3 times, to basically whatever it takes to try to keep yourself up there. So it's becoming even more challenge later with the new format of qualifying. So it's very, very tough. It's very, very difficult, but that's when that separate the boys from the men. That's right.
I'll ask this final question to Mr. Penske. Roger, you will be calling Elio's race as a strategist and team owner as he tries to become the only man on this green earth that can join that elite group of 4 Indy 500 winners. In the final laps, if your guy, although all of them are your guys, if your guy Elio is leading, and you got the guy sitting beside you, Tim Cindric has got his guy running second, the other guys are running third and fourth, how conflicted or difficult is that for you?
Well, I think I've told the guys before, we need to take care of ourselves. If it's the last 5 laps, last 6 laps, or the last 2 laps, let the best guy win. I mean, that's, to me, we don't have any team orders when you come to Indianapolis to say, hey, back off for anybody. I think that, these guys that work together, you've seen they've raced hard last year, and I would expect them to do the same thing here.
Any other questions? On behalf of Team Penske, we thank you so much.
And Kelby said, I think, accurately, he makes everything.
He makes everything, yeah.
So I can assure you that he must be really playing hurt today. Chip, as I was coming in today, I thought about this regular meeting we have and coming to Indianapolis. I don't know, I suspect you're still the same. Goosebumps every time you go into the tunnel. And your case, it's another year in which you're here to compete, challenge that world trophy. Does it ever get old?
It never gets old. You come here year after year. I guess I've been here now every year since 1982. Actually was here as a spectator in 81. And you have to, I hate to use this term, but you got to pinch yourself a little bit sometimes. Remember, this is still the Indianapolis 500, and it's a, you get so used to going to races in and out, but you don't want to forget how important this race is and how much it means, and you do get that feeling when you come, like you say, through the tunnel. There's a lot at stake here every May, and don't let that, just don't let that be an oversight. Right.
There is a lot at stake here.
There's a lot at stake here, yes, and you don't want to forget that. And I think it's important to get that across to your team, as well. And we right-sized our team this year, and I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we've got new sponsorship, we've got NTT continuing with us, so we're very, very poised for the next step here. And part of that next step is going to be next Sunday.
Sure will. One thing I thought about as I look at my goal is, I don't care if you're talking about business, I don't care if you're talking about sports, I don't care if you're talking about family. Stability is a really, really important thing. And if I'm right, is this not your 26th year with this team?
Yeah, it is. Well, I think it is. People remind me of that. Kelby in particular reminds me of that all the time. I've never really looked at it that way. When I made a deal with Chip in 1992, we shook hands.
And we haven't talked about it much since.
And we really haven't. Today it seems to be on paper, but I don't know why it needs to be. I'm continuously amazed at how we have been able to combine passion together with disagreement and agreement both, almost simultaneously to continue to do what we do. And I never really thought about it at the time. I wasn't sure, frankly, if I could stay with Chip for a week, a month, a year, whatever. But I'm happy that I have, and never really thought that I'd be lucky enough to be around race drivers that Chip has hired to make us all enjoy what we do.
It's results-oriented business, and that's certainly one thing that's the hallmark of this team. And again, talking about stability, you're going to bring someone new for your team here. But then you've got another guy, I think, is in his 17th year with the team, and Scott Penske, and that has to bring a lot of comfort to you as someone who sort of oversees the ship.
Well, yes, but I think Scott represents who we were, who we are, and who we will be. He comes to work with a fresh approach every day, and he wants to make the most out of it for himself. He wants to make himself better because he knows that makes the team better, and he pushes really, really hard. And he represents the lineage that we've had over the years of champion race drivers. He certainly shows the way, leads the way for people like Ed. Proud to have been with him personally for as long as I have been, and continue to strive to do right by him and by Chip. It's been a great experience.
And if we ran that clock Ed Jones a year ago, I can't imagine there have been a couple of rookie performances that have been better, but not many. There are many people who have gone through these gates. We all would agree with great race drivers and have never even sniffed a podium finish. That still has to be one of the big moments in your life, and I would think would be one of the reasons you're sitting between these two gentlemen here today.
Yeah, for sure. You know, last year as a rookie to come to this race and finish third in your first go is a huge achievement, and you know, there's so many things around that. You know, I was fortunate with what the team had at the time. A bit of luck as well, but that always plays a part in this race, and we're able to execute when we needed to. But coming into this year now, and especially this month, this 500 month, it kind of makes me feel, you know, looking back to last year, I didn't realize again how big the race was when I was doing it for the first time, and now coming to this year, I want everything even more than I did last year. And just working as hard as possible with the team to make the car stronger and make myself stronger, and to have a good race car for next Sunday.
The boss said the stakes are high. Arms on this side, or on this side of the room. Open up to questions.
Two for Ed. One, Zachary the other day said, used you as an example of how this race can be a real career maker. That if he does well at Illinois racing in this race, the rookie, who knows what may happen for him. When you kind of look back how everything fell in place to get you to Ganassi, I mean, it's a very impressive journey. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I was going to your first year of IndyCar. There's a lot of work to do, a lot of learning. I wasn't sure what to expect. I think at the time, Del Quan was quite a small team, so it was, didn't know where we were going to be. Had Sebastian Bourdais as a teammate who was great to learn off, and he gave me a lot of help. But every weekend I was just trying, giving my full commitment, trying as hard as possible, and I think I didn't make too many mistakes, which was something which I look positive back on. And I was very fortunate that timing was right, and the results I had. Obviously, there was luck plays a part in it, but it was a huge amount of hard work, and things paid off to get me to this team. You know, for me, this has always been the goal to race with Chip Ganassi Racing. If I had been, you know, told if I had a few years back to know that I'd be in this position, I wouldn't believe someone. And I just want to make every moment of this count, and I just want to win races. First few races this season have been a bit up and down, but we showed potential straight away, and I'm sure we'll win one soon.
And as a relative newcomer, how different does the car feel this year than last year's car here?
Yeah, it is significantly different. I think the car in general is much more sensitive than the old car. Even just driving along by yourself on track, the old car was, although the downforce numbers aren't particularly different, it just felt so much more comfortable. And then, especially in traffic, you were able to run up on cars in the corners a lot better. Whereas this year, it's been a lot more of a challenge. So, yeah, everyone's trying to figure it out. But I'm sure when we come to race day, things will be a lot closer. There'll be more passing, but it's still definitely going to be a lot more difficult than last year.
Ben Smith from the Journal Gazette, Fort Wayne. This is for Chip. Chip, you know, the guy right there to your left is obviously one of the bright young coming drivers, and there's a huge amount of them obviously coming up this year. To what do you attribute that?
That's a good question. I think, I don't know. I think, with as long as we've all been in motorsports, Mike and I, there seems to be sort of waves of drivers that come along from time to time. And I think that's more a function, I think, of, what's happening in the smaller formulas, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, as to what it means for, IndyCar racing today, is maybe what happens in those. So I think you have to look back at, at the popularity of those feeder series. For what reason did they, 3, 4, 5 years ago, what was the thing where you had a group of, a great group of talent come along at the same time in some of those series where you had really good racing, or you could have really good racing because the package, not only the talent, but the car, the tires, the engine in those smaller formulas match well with a feeder series. And so I think that's, I don't know that I have any other explanation for it other than that. It's certainly a timing issue and a time and a place kind of thing where, like I said, you got to look back at, where Ed started, 3, 4, 5 years ago. And I think that'll tell a lot. Yeah.
And when you look at this car versus the Indy Lights car that you raced here, is this new car kind of more like that, or kind of how much do you have to readjust with the new car compared to what you had last year?
Yeah, definitely. I think, especially running by yourself, this car feels much more similar to the Indy Lights car. I'd say in traffic, the Indy Lights car was probably nicer when you were following cars. You were still able to get better runs than with this car, and you could also, it's quite possible to run 2 wide lines. Whereas, as I said, with this car, it's just been such a challenge to follow and to get runs. And the first day, on Tuesday, I kind of made a mistake of trying to get the car to a position where I could follow, a similar way to last year, and it led to a few massive moments of oversteer. But yeah, it's just trying to see what the potential of this car is. It's obviously very different to the old car, and just figuring out the best ways to pass. Because at the end of the day, seeing how difficult it is, the person who can pass the best is going to it's going to pay off huge in the race.
Sorry, I'm over here. What kind of mentor has Scott been for you this year, and how beneficial is it to have someone who's won the Indy 500 on your team for these next couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's huge to have Scott there, and also Dara as well. For both of them, obviously Scott's trying to do his job is the first priority, so it's not so much mentoring there in the first part, but having Dara there, his job as driver coach kind of. And 2 guys who won the Indy 500, And so it's just, they know they've had so many races here at the Indy 500 that they've had all the experiences of things going wrong on certain days and how to pick it back up, how easy it is to lose confidence here, and then how you have to change your approach and get right back at it. And I can't tell you how beneficial it has been to have both Scott and Dario there to lean on. Whenever I have any issues or anything to question them about, it's been very helpful.
Chip, do you ever reflect back 36 years ago when you were a rookie and you were getting ready for Fast Friday for your first qualifying run and your first 500?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'd like to reflect on it, but boy, it seemed like such a blur, there was a lot going on. I was 23 years old or something the year I was at Indianapolis, and the thing I remember about that day was probably just the fact that, I got to run later in the day, rest of his soul, Gordon Smiley was in an accident, sort of closed qualifying down for 3 hours or so, and that was an advantage to me because some guys had already gone, and then it was a little cooler, when the track reopened. It's 4 o'clock or something. It was a little cooler in the afternoon, so we were able to find some speed maybe that was a big help. Yeah, and then of course that was the year that they had the debacle there at the start in 1982 with Kevin and Floyd and Mario and that whole thing up at the start there, and that was actually a good thing for me because it kind of it took a lot of the pressure off. Then when the race restarted there, after that it was I was kind of calmed down to go, okay, I got this, off we went. It was a great experience, and really, simply put, it was the launch pad. That was the launch pad for what you see today as our team. That was the launch pad.
Ed, what actually is happening over here? Ed, what is actually happening when you go to overtake? The front end washing out, the car going understeer?
Yeah, when you're following us, when you're trying to close in the car in front, the front just washes out. And it's quite a large amount more than you're used to, and I feel like the time, how close you get to the car in front, it happens a lot earlier. So even when you're not that close, the front starts to wash out far quicker than in the past. So what that also makes very difficult is when you're tuning the car with the tools that you have, the weight jack curves and the bars. Obviously, you're going to try to set up, make it mechanically very over-series when you're trying to get the run on someone. But as soon as you get the clear track, you have to work as quickly as possible, set it back, because it's going to be very easy to be caught out on that with how much you're going to have to change things to get by people.
Sure.
Yes, David.
It's been a difficult start to the season for Ganassi Racing. I don't think Scott's led a lap. We know that there were issues at Long Beach where you probably should have been a contender there. But the fact is that, like in 2013, you guys didn't lead a lap until Detroit, and then Scott went up and won the title. Does that give you encouragement, and can you feel that momentum building for Ganassi Racing?
Yeah, David, I think as you're still somewhat a newcomer around here, and historically that's kind of the typical start for our season. Whereas we start slowly and we get going, right about now, and then the strong point in the season is really, from Memorial Day to to Labor Day. Historically, that's been the time that separates the teams from the wannabes, and I fully intend that we'll have both guys, in the mix going forward. I mean, I think. Let's face it, it's like everybody's talking about a new car and this, and I think our performance has been relatively good. we had a good, it had a good Phoenix. We had a good, we had a decent Long Beach. I don't think it's anything that, we're certainly not hitting any panic buttons anywhere. So, I don't think difficult is the right word.
Question to Mike. I mean, during the last seasons, years, etc., I think you have collected countless data with speeding covers, especially in Minneapolis. With this new cars, can you use anything from this data, or you start with zero again?
I think probably the only thing you're going to be able to use might be racecraft. I think Ed referenced it quite well. Almost everything that we've learned with the car in the past is great information, but not information we can use going forward. And that's probably what people are experiencing this week. I think the reality might be this, that IndyCar has a terrific product. The people that technically manage the series do now, I think, in my opinion, probably the best job of anybody that's done the job for a long, long time. But what they've also managed to do is they push this formula to the point where there's no separation available for the teams. Teams have a very, very simple product to tune, and they don't have individual identity any longer with their individual product. So when it comes to finding ways to create the momentum that you need to pass, even with the better drivers, it's not available to you like it used to be. And I think the nature of the race will be similar to the way it's been in the past, but the tuning variance isn't as large as it used to be. And I don't know if that answers your question, but I think that the on-track product is good. Passing here and the racing here is going to be more difficult no matter where you start or hopefully where you finish.
Very good. Thank you very much for coming in, gentlemen. Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing Press Conference. I'm Jerry Hunt, ESPN and ABC. It's my pleasure to serve as a moderator today. Joining us this morning to my left are two of the three owners of Rahal Letterman Lanigan. The 1986 Indianapolis 500 champion, three-time open wheel champion, who was competing as an owner for his 27th season, dating back to 1992, when he and a colleague, Carl Hogan, teamed up to win an open wheel championship in that very first year. Please welcome Bobby Rahal. Beside him are actually the other owner here today, successful international businessman and longtime IndyCar owner, sponsor, and supporter, folks. This is his 45th Indianapolis 500. Yeah, he started when he was 6 years old, right, Mike? Mike Lanigan, 5 years old. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to age you there. The driver of the number 15 United Rentals Honda, who will be making his 11th start in the Indy 500, Greg Rahal. The driver of the number 30 MyJack Panasonic Honda, and he is the reigning champion of the Indianapolis 500, Takuma Sato. And the driver of the number 64 Scuderia Corsa Manitowoc Honda, who is on his way, by the way, making his 10th Indy 500 start, maybe, in 5th with Rahal Letterman Lanigan. He gets to the press conference. His car is entered by Scuderia Corsa with Rahal Letterman Lanigan, and that is Oriol Servia, who will be here momentarily. And of course, the team principal for the championship-winning Scuderia Corsa IMSA team and co-entrant for the 64 Scuderia Corsa Manitowoc Honda, Giacomo Mattioli. Giacomo, great to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
We'll start out with Bobby. Bobby, if you would, as an owner, address the excitement, energy, and emotion of returning to Indy with a three-car team this year, which includes the reigning Indianapolis 500 champion.
Well, it's been it's fantastic to be able to put it all together this year, to have Takuma return to us. We almost won the 500 together back in 2012, I guess it was, and so we really were pleased that Takuma rejoined us. And obviously having Brown here, we've knocked on the door here the last several years with him to win this race with him would be something obviously special, as it would be with Takuma. And then this year bringing back bringing back Mr. Serbia, who's a good friend and been a good teammate and a good friend of our team. Amongst other things, great to have him back with us, and we really welcome Giacomo to to partner with us in running Oriole this year. I think it's, I said to somebody the other day that I think we have as strong a group as any team out there with these 3 drivers, and we're really looking forward. There's been a lot of work done over the course of this week. We're looking forward to today. Looking forward to the weekend for sure, and then of course the race. And so I'm really pleased that we're able to come here to the 500, which is I know well what the impact of this race does to a person's life, let alone career. And so it's a thrill to always come back here and participate in this tremendous event.
Thank you, Bobby. Mike, we mentioned your 45th Indianapolis 500. Talk about the excitement of the off-season and all the things that came together to be able to unite a number of sponsors, old sponsors, new sponsors, with this 3-car team as you head into the Indianapolis 500.
Well, it's first of all, welcome everybody. Good morning, and thank you for coming in so early. I was hoping they'd have coffee for everybody, but I guess not. Oriole, one other thing, by the way, the race is Sunday at 11 a.m. sharp. Okay, so don't be late, please. But yeah, I've been coming here for 45 years. I started out as a fan in the snake pit in turn 1 when I was in turn 1, and I don't remember who won it, but I know I had a good time. But we've been working with Bob and working with partnerships with some of our sponsors, and our companies do a lot of business with a lot of our sponsors currently, and we've done a great job of promoting how we can help them create more sales, and we've been very fortunate to have some great sponsors, like United Rentals and Manitowoc, and of course we got Giacomo on board right now, and welcome to our team, Giacomo. But every year when I come here, I get the same feeling of the thrill and the excitement of the opportunity of winning a race here someday in my lifetime before I die, guys. Okay, one of you guys. I don't care who comes in first, with just 1, 2, 3, any combination, I'm okay with it. But it's a thrill to be here, and I want to thank all our sponsors for being here, and it's amazing how the thrill never goes away. All winter you're waiting for it. Of course, there's a lot of excitement here, there's a lot of happiness and a lot of disappointments. And so we think we're going to have a lot of happiness, and thank you very much for being here. And again, Giacomo, I'm proud to have you on board, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mike. Rahal, Graham, you mentioned in the off-season in the last few months how excited you were about how hard the team has worked here for the month of May. In the Grand Prix last Saturday, you drove from the back to the front with no helmet caution flags, just a very, very competitive car and a lot of desire. So you showed that the team and you could get this done. Talk about the preparations and now the expectations for what's going to happen at the Indy 500, especially coming off that fastest lap of the day yesterday, but over 2:26.
Yeah, yesterday was a great day for us to be able to bounce back, from the day before, and I think it just does a lot for the guys. I mean, I know that ultimately a great tow lap like that doesn't give you a great indication of a qualifying car or even a race car, but it's nice to see the number on the board, and certainly lets everybody rest a little easier knowing that it's in it at least. But I think last weekend we had a good battle from the back, but kind of don't want to really be. I guess I'm kind of known for that, but I don't necessarily really want to continue that. I'd rather start up front. So today and the next couple of days is going to be extremely important for us from that perspective. But our team on the United Rentals number 15, as well as these guys, have been working extremely hard to put a competitive car on the track. Last couple of days, really to focus on a race car, get that a little bit better, which I think that we finally, last night in the last run felt very competitive, which was awesome. Actually felt better than even putting the lap on the board. I knew that we were in a much better spot than the day before. But as Dad said, we've got a great lineup here. All of us have felt the same things in the cars. The same changes have been able to bounce back and forth and work successfully, which is always your goal as a team.
And, you know, I think that our team is poised for a great result. And hopefully, you know, we can all run up front again. You know, we talked about it last week, but one of the things that's great about this month is United Rentals is putting up $50 a lap, you know, for me to complete every lap, which they always have done for our Turns for Troops initiative. But this month, it's going to be all of us. So if we can all go complete every lap of the 500, it's a lot of money raised to help our vets. So certainly that's on our mind as well.
Thank you, Graham. That's over $35,000, by the way, for the Turns for Troops, and that's an incredible effort from United Rentals to be able to give back. Now, Tacoma, your car owner, Bobby Rahal, talks about there is a life before you win the Indy 500, and then there's a life after you win the Indy 500. You walked out of here last year as an Indy 500 champion and became an international superstar around the world, and especially in your homeland. Describe to us what this last year has been like for you.
Well, good morning everyone, first of all. It's an amazing journey the last year. I mean, since the day one came to the US and participated in Indy Series, I guess that's the whole about the Indy 500. Of course, we want to win the race, many races as possible, as well as the championship, but the 500 is just nothing like it. And yeah, winning before and after, what you do is exactly the same, you know, drive the car fast and try to be competitive as possible, but obviously the environment has been changed a lot. I met so many persons and great people who you probably ever thought about it before in your life, and there's so many things happening, but I guess I just really appreciate that you know, come back to the Indy and still driving, and the people cheering, and I don't know how to say it, but the commitment and anybody's and support is the one thing that I really feel so appreciate, and the proud to be part of making a new history for the Japanese driver. So it's definitely a special moment and a special year.
Great to have you back, Tacoma, as the Indy 500 champion. Oriole. Last year, there was a Spaniard competing in the Indianapolis 500 that got a lot of coverage. A lot of people were excited about. And the good news is you're back. No, seriously, it's just great to have you here. Describe to us, explain to us the relationship. Scuderia Corsa coming on board in partnership with Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan as a part of this operation and for your car here.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, good morning, everyone. Sorry I was late, a little bit late. I brought a note from my daughter.
That'll work.
No, we're all super excited, obviously. I think it's my 10th Indy 500. It's the 5th time I'm going to do it with this group of people. And it's great. We wait all year to come here in May. We really do. We try to find the sponsors, and then from the team side, they put a huge amount of hours in the development and trying to understand what are the best pieces of each car to put in each car for the race. But it's not just being here. Like everyone at this table, everyone at the team, everyone from the Scuderia Corsa really has one aim, which is to win this thing. I had good races here, really good races, but last year I think is the time that I really thought it was my race, especially the last 50 laps. I had a rocket ship underneath me. We did pass almost every car on the field, and towards the last stages, I really thought it was going to be between Taku and myself. So I wasn't completely wrong. But honestly, we're so excited, and when I live in Los Angeles, same place that Giacomo lives, and when I heard that they were really interested in looking in stepping into this world, I had to make sure that we were part of the same operation. And the second I explained to him, how well this team works and how hard they try everyone to win, I think was a no-brainer to join forces.
Thank you very much, Oriole. And Giacomo, if you would just add to that, from championship sports car team to now taking the step with Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan into IndyCar racing, into the Verizon IndyCar Series, and the biggest race in the world. Great to have you here, by the way. But describe that step that you've taken.
Well, good morning, everyone. First, I really need to thank again Bobby and Mike to
give me the opportunity to join them. It's been an honor, a very humbling, experience. So we're very excited to be here. As a boy, growing up in Modena, I grew up with open wheel racing, Modena. It's obviously where the Ferrari factory is located, and through some, I was lucky enough through some family connection. I met Enzo Ferrari, I was very young, and he actually, I remember him talking about the Indy 500. And, then I had the opportunity to come here in the United States and start my own racing team. And over the years, watching the 500, we came here in also 2014 with the GT racing with Insa. And it was a good race for us, so I have a great memory for Indianapolis. I had the opportunity to spend some time, with Towson Bell and Stefan Johansson talking about, the Indy 500 and how it's possible and feasible to be a one-off entry and be competitive, and that's what we want to be, and that's why we're here and joining with the best in the class. So we're very excited, and we're looking forward to develop even further the relationship with IndyCar.
Thank you, Giacomo. Great to have you here. Now we'll open it up to questions. If you would raise your hand, wait for the microphone, identify yourself, your affiliation, and to whom your question is being addressed. Yes.
Bob Kravitz with WTHR here in Indianapolis. The three drivers, we always hear how qualifying is just a white knuckler, that it's the most challenging part of the month. Why is that, and what are the sensations that you feel when you're qualifying?
I think, I guess qualifying is one part of the race for the excitement, to be honest. The race day is a week later, and I think it's a different scenario usually, but you can judge how the team and driver and the cars really all come together in qualify if you do the, over 230 miles per hour in average. That's the a sensation of the speed. It's just a fantastic thing. And plus, you really prove the speed of the car, and I think that's quite important, especially for this year. Seems to be still possible, of course, but it's quite difficult to follow each other right now. So I think the qualify is kind of quite important than I feel last year.
I think it's just, there's a lot of intensity that goes into it. One of the biggest tricks, I think, to qualifying at Indy is not to overthink it. Don't let too many thoughts kind of flash through your mind. It's easier said than done. As you start to pull the downforce off, particularly this car this year, to find barely any drag, you're removing hundreds of pounds of downforce, and and every step of the way is just more that you need to hang on, and so when you know that you have to go out and do that for 4 laps and try to put it all together and try to keep it between the lines and everything else, it's a difficult thing to do. At the same time, it's very important. Clearly starting up front, it was awesome here. I've started 4th before, never on the front row but close, and I've started 3rd from last. Ironically, starting 3rd from last is my best finish ever, but it's, to me, you can start up front, just makes your life easier. This car is going to be harder. I think it's harder to get the speed out of it, for that last little bit, and so we're focused so much on every little detail to try to make it go fast. Ultimately it's down to us to make it happen.
For Bobby and for Graham, Elton Alexander, the play deal. Bobby, talk about, you've gone through a lot of transitions with new cars. What do you share with your guys about, hey, look at this and don't worry about that, and all these different variations? And then with Graham, you hinted on it just a minute ago, how important, if the tractors, if the times are going to be as close as you think you are, how important is it going to be to have the right line for qualifying?
Well, I'll question, Elton, in terms of, you know, the input I give to them is pretty much ignored across the board. You know, they always tell me, you know, you stopped racing 20 years ago, so what do you know? I really don't give them much advice, if anything, because I'm not out there. I'm not driving this car. I do observe, and it's clear that this car this year is a very difficult car to get right. And all you have to do is read the driver's comments at the end of each day, and I don't think there's anybody happy out there. I think it's degrees of less unhappy that's out there. And it's tough. So it's, yeah, so for me to venture in and give ideas on setup, it's, you know, it'd be, and I rightfully it would be ignored because, again, no, I'm not driving it and not intimately involved with it, but it's still a big challenge, big thrill for us to be here, and I'm just glad that, as I said earlier, I'm glad that we're all, you know, we've got this group of drivers, because I think in the end, that's what it really, that's going to separate the teams. Is, you know, I mean, it always does, but what I mean by that is how well they work together. Takuma, Oriel, and Graham all like the same car, and I think that's a big advantage. I'm sure some of the other teams have that same kind of relationship between their drivers, but that's really important, and I'm glad we've got 3 cars this year with 3 drivers like this, and what we've had in the past where maybe it's been 1 car or 2 cars.
Bruce Martin with Auto Week. Back when your father drove, we always heard the term knife-edge setup. Are the cars back now where it is a knife-edge setup? You don't have a whole lot of, I mean, you got to basically get it right there on that knife edge in order for it to be right.
Well, I think there's a common misconception that it hasn't been that way. I mean, you know, it's like a lot of people think that the last handful of years have been easy, and that's just not the case. You know, when I first came into this, you know, maybe it was less competitive, and so, you know, frankly, you could get away with not pushing to the edge as much as it is today. But I'd say from, man, you know, 2010, 11 now, I mean, you're hanging it out all the time. You know, from our perspective this year, we've all been trying to figure out a way to kind of answer Elton's second question too, is we're trying to find a way to make this thing go around here as fast as you can with as little steering as possible, all while making sure that you can trust the rear of the car and not spin it. Spinning on a road course is one thing, spinning around here is a whole different. And so, you know, we've been trying to dance this fine line the entire time. You know, we've all tried different things, you know, for qualifying, to just try to figure out into the race, to figure out what exactly it wants. Seems like the tires are pretty tricky just to get an understanding on that. But it certainly hasn't been easy by any stretch of the imagination for anybody. You know, you go over to the driver bus lot, you know, you'll hear none of that. But, you know, we're working hard. And today, hopefully, Mother Nature will be nice to us here. Looks more promising than I expected. But, you know, hopefully we'll get some laps out there, get some clean qual runs. It looks like, you know, rain could come in the early afternoon. Last I looked, and if that's the case, in the, you know, the first hour, it's going to be a zoo. But we really need to try to figure out how to get some laps clear. You know, each of us individually figure out where we stand and go from there. But trust me, everybody's hanging it out. I mean, watch yesterday. You know, guys, even, you know, the king of speed, Mr. Elio, you know, he goes out there and, you know, he's, you can see puts up a big lap on brand new tires and has to come in the next lap. This isn't easy. You know, and if anybody is able to hang on and complete 4 laps, it's Elio, you know, and so you can see that how tricky this is at this time. So I don't think by any stretch of the imagination that it's been easy before, but I do think that this year it is going to be really close across the board. I think there's going to be a lot of people in a very tight window.
The consumer audio industry is moving rapidly to electric. Do any of you foresee a hybrid or an electric car anytime soon?
Well, I don't know. I don't think, not soon. I've been to a Formula E race, and I mean, it's interesting. I certainly couldn't see that here at this track. But I mean, you never say never, right? But, you know, hybrids, I think, why not? That's just a cost issue. I think that's why we haven't seen hybrid power plants up to this point, and may not for some time. So, I mean, it's interesting. I think that, at one point, and this may sound a little heresy here, but at one point, obviously, we were very intimately tied to the automobile industry and the future of the automobile industry. I think it's different today, and so while electric or hybrid might make sense in your everyday roads, I'm not sure it has any real, value here per se. And clearly, electric has a lot of restrictions that, right now it takes 2 cars to do a 75-mile race or 100-mile race in Formula E, and they're changing that for next year, but to do 500 miles. At this stage, we'd have to have 10 cars that they have to get in and out of. So I think the restrictions are such that I don't see that happening anytime soon, but, as I say never.
Okay, one more question. We're running close on time.
Sorry, I have two. One for Bobby and one for Mr. Jackson. Bobby, just a question to understand the situation correctly. You have some internal changes in the team, when I'm informed correctly. I mean, the engineer of Graham, Eddie Jones, is now engineer in Tacoma. Can you explain the reason why this was done?
I think that, obviously Graham had a lot of success with Eddie. We felt that Eddie would be, the right guy for Tacoma. We also had Tom German, who we brought in, last year, I suppose, again. And of course, Tom had been with Rogers Thames team manager or technical director, I should say, for a number of years. Gilles DeFerrin's engineer, so very experienced, and having Tom on board, I think really improved the depth of our group, our engineering group. We're lucky. We probably were over-engineered, given we were a one-car team over the years, but it was thanks to Mike, the commitment that we've made was if there were good people available. Mike Talbot, for example, is engineering Oriole. Mike was at Newman Haas Lanigan. He was Justin Wilson's engineer for several years there. So we've been fortunate to be able to have this great core of engineering, and we can move it around as we think where we think it would work best. And I think that's why we did it this year, and it seems to be, I think, working pretty well. Tacuma's had a lot of bad luck this year, frankly, but the performance has been pretty strong. So, I think the move was a good one. So.
And one for you, as a new entrant to IndyCar, does it mean maybe long term you will close your GT operation? And also you mentioned Stefan Johansson. Is he still a sporting director here at Scuderia Corsa?
Yes and yes. So yes, Stefan is still a sporting director. I think he just texted me and asked me what about breakfast. So he's very committed to the operation. Just kidding aside, he's a great friend. We met many years ago when he was driving for Ferrari. So as far as the GT operation, absolutely not. I mean, we're very committed to it. We had tremendous success. We have great drivers. And we have a great program for our challenge. The two things will coexist if we commit full time for the IndyCar next year. So.
Okay, we'll end on this one quickly. Bobby, you are Orioles' friend, Tacuma's strategist, and Graham's dad. And they're running 1, 2, 3 with a couple laps to go. How conflicted will you be?
Well, I hope we get to that.
Goes by age.
I hope we get I hope we get to that point. I hope to be conflicted. I'm Tacuma's guy, right? And we have in our company it's rule number 2. I won't tell you what rule number 1 is, but rule number 2 is don't take your teammate out. And so that's all I care about is if it's down to the 3 of them. With 1 lap to go, may the best man win. But don't take each other out doing it.
How about a 3-way tie?
Hey, gentlemen, thank you on behalf of Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan. Thanks for coming. Thanks for your coverage, and have a great morning.